How many of you have been experimenting with self-talk? I know you have. I heard several of you yesterday. It's hot. I'm tired. I'm hungry. All right, I get that. And that means you're growing and you're moving into that habit phase, which is good. Do you realize we're always talking to ourselves? All the time. And some of you are thinking, no, I'm not. You just did. You know, we cannot stop it. We're always talking to ourselves. Now, my mother had taught me, Dan, if you see someone talking to themselves, go across the road and stay away from them. Students have also said, I tried them. They don't work. And it took me a long time to realize why my sales manager's self-talk didn't work. Any guesses why his self-talk didn't work for me? Because it was his. It was his. And the real key to understanding self-talk is to make it yours and make it what fits you, because every person in this room is different. And so to make self-talk work properly, we need to understand it. It's not a rescue. When you feel discouraged, you try to use good self-talk. Instead, it's more like vitamins, or for our UK group, vitamins. In other words, if you're suddenly feeling sick, you don't take a vitamin C capsule to hopefully get better. We should be continually taking vitamins so that we can be prevented from getting sick. And that's what good self-talk does throughout our lives. It helps our attitudes because the way we talk to ourselves impacts our self-image. And those of you that came to my roadshow in the spring know that self-image determines our actions. And our actions determine our results. And so the one area that we can affect more than anything is our self-talk. That's always in our heads, and so we're going to work on that. In some ways, a self-talk is like having a mantra. How many of you have done a bit of yoga where they've talked about mantra? Who is a competitive athlete or a musician at a high standard? Many of you are. And so you've learned how to say things to yourself, to calm yourself, to stay productive, and to stay focused. Mantra is a word or a phrase that gives you a feeling that will help pull you forward in a really positive way. And this is not written by a yoga master. This is written by a sports psychologist who studies high-performing people to figure out how they do better. It's a very, very old word. The only language possibly older than Sanskrit is Lithuanian. Lietuva! But what it means is a thought behind speech or action. And when we have a proper mantra, it can actually work like a key opening a lock. And the right self-talk is having the right mantra. But here's the real key to it. The words have to be right to draw the correct response from us. If the words are not right, there'll be no emotional response. There'll be no resonance. And that's why using my sales manager's self-talk didn't work for me. I'm not him. He's not me. And so self-talk understood correctly means we do what is unique to us. We're going to watch a little video clip from another sports psychologist explaining this in a slightly different way.
You are always having a conversation with yourself. The self-talk is going on relentlessly. We all do it. As an athlete, I'm encouraging you to pay greater attention to that self-talk, to be very intentional about developing positive self-talk. The more positive your self-talk can be, the more likely your performance will be what you also desire. How do we do that? It's important to recognize that when you start thinking negatively, it's important to have that mantra that you can imply or apply rather, that will help you to break that negative self-talk. A mantra is a word or phrase you repeat to yourself to elicit the desired emotional state. What's your mantra? That phrase that you would say to stop the negative talk and get you back on track with the positive self-talk. There are a million examples out there of cool mantras. It's most important that you have one that's personalized to you so that you can get your self-talk positive and release that which you know is in you and stop that negative self-talk from sabotaging your otherwise successful performance.
In other words, because we're always talking to ourselves, when we have negative self-talk, it's as if you attach some weights to your ankles and then tried to run. So imagine running with 30 kilograms attached to your right ankle and 30 kilograms attached to your left ankle. That's what negative self-talk is like, unless we learn how to manage it and deal with it. We're going to create some focus tools here in just a minute. These are words and actions that can help us. But look at the second phrase. The words have to be what? Right. To draw the correct response from you. And we're going to work on that together. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of the new research in self-talk says that it's not just statements, but it's also questions that can help us. So I'd like to introduce you to one of the most famous psychologists in the world. His name is Bob the Builder. Bob the Builder, famous psychologist, understands how to motivate people. And what was Bob's question? Can we fix it? And the crew answers what? Yes, we can. If Bob just said, go fix it, and the crew said, fix it yourself. But can we fix it? We tend to say, yes, we can. So learning to ask questions can be one of the best ways to develop really positive self-talk. Here's an example. My wife decided when she was 52 years old to run her first half marathon. And those of you that have run a long distance know that about 3/4 of the way through, you start wondering if you can finish. Runners call that hitting what? The wall, hitting the wall. And there's not really a wall as long as your eyes are open. But there's a mental feeling of, I don't know if I can do this or not. And when your self-talk says, I don't know if I can finish this race. I'm so tired. Oh, my legs hurt. Then it's pretty much over at that point. So what Maria would ask herself is this. She'd say, Maria, can you count to 60? And she would answer what? Yes, I can. So she began counting her steps because she had practiced and knew that every time her left foot hit the ground, if she counted 60 of those, it would be about 1/2 of a kilometer. And so then when she'd finish, she would say, Maria, can you count to 60 again? And the answer was, yes, we can. And she counted steps and counted her way all the way through. It is an ability to focus our mind on something we can control to take us away from something we cannot. Let me share an example of useless self-talk. Let's suppose it is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about what, 38 or 39 Celsius. This is useless self-talk. It's hot. It's really hot. Yes, it is. So what? We want to feel better. We stand tall and confident. We put our shoulders back. We stand up tall and confident. We look at the world and we say, world, you're mine. Because that's what helps build that confidence in such a good way. Just make sure that your own worst enemy does not live between your two ears. And that we're controlling our minds because it makes such a difference. So now what I'd like you to do is to draw 4 squares on your notes. Or for the engineers, a 2x2 matrix. And in the top left corner, I want you to think for a moment. If you have a negative thought that comes into your mind, what is one simple thing you can say to chase that thought out of your mind? Now, don't try to replace it yet with anything positive, okay? Just a negative thought, Mr. Mediocrity starts coming toward you. Dum, 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 dum. What will you say to chase away that negative thought? You're all experienced in life. You've all had negative thoughts before. And you know that a negative thought is just a thought unless you feed it. Then when you feed it, it becomes bigger and stronger and uglier. So, you had one?
Is it even important?
Is it even important? So, it's hot. Was that even important? And then the thought just sails right through the other ear. As thoughts come into our minds, our job is to get them out the other side or just prevent them. What's another example? Something to chase away a negative thought. Because humor also helps to take away negative thoughts. Humor is really powerful. Negative thoughts can't stand humor. You know you're not going to achieve your goals, and you'll never have children. Some of the simplest things to chase away negative thoughts are things like, shut up. So chasing away negatives is the first stage. We spent some time with a member of what are called the Navy SEALs, very elite military commandos. He'd been in the Navy SEALs for 28 years. And he said one of the things they learn in training is the art of thought replacement. And that is to replace a negative thought with a positive. So now I want you to go into the second quadrant, down below the chase away negativity. What is something you can say to yourself to build confidence? What have you used in the past when you've been nervous? What has worked for you? Again, someone else's self-talk won't work, but your own will. So something to build confidence. What can you say to yourself? Let me get some examples. Who's got one? I can, I will, I'm going to. Great example. I can, I will, I'm going to. This hand back there, really loud. I have a really good feeling about this day. Oh, I like that one a lot. That's good. No big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. That's a great way to build. This is no big deal. And the real key to self-talk is remembering whatever we say, we hear. Whatever we say, we hear. So let's make sure we hear it in a really, really positive and good way. Okay, the top right. When we're nervous, when we're really kind of shaky and scared and nervous, what is something you can learn to say to help eliminate nervousness? Okay, I heard one over here. I've got this. I've got this. I got this. Think about your past experiences in sports, in music, in academics. What have you said to yourself when you're nervous to calm yourself down? Okay, I'm feeling unstoppable. Great. Again, if that works for you, you use it. My self-worth has nothing to do with outcomes. Every group needs a philosopher. All right, if others did it, I can do it as well. I'm bulletproof. Hopefully you won't have to find out. But I think that's great. All right. And then finally, in the bottom right corner, what can you do to focus on activity and not results? Who's next is one of the simplest ones. Who's next? Who's next? Is this making sense so far? Now, this is not a natural exercise for most of us. Most of us have never had any training in good self-talk. But we have naturally poor self-talk in many areas of our lives. So I want to encourage us to eliminate that as much as we can. Focus on your awesomeness, and it'll make a huge difference in what you do.